I bet you didn't know that by the time you're 80 years old, your muscle mass has probably already shrunk by half from when you were younger. Sarcopenia is a terrible disease that steals the independence of millions of people around the world. It affects more than 50 million seniors. Falls caused by weak muscles send more than 300,000 elderly people to the hospital each year. Here we reach the shocking portion. The Journal of Physiology reports on research that disproves the idea that such severe muscle atrophy is unavoidable. Some persons in their 70s have the strength, function, and even appearance of someone who is decades younger, whereas the majority of their age group has trouble doing even the most basic of tasks, like getting out of a chair or climbing stairs. These people are able to maintain full independence far into their 90s, and they frequently surpass others half their age on strength tests. They also keep climbing mountains and playing sports. Like and subscribe for more educational health videos, like this one if you enjoyed it. What then is their trade secret? Well, 93% of seniors have no idea what habits can significantly delay or even reverse age-related muscle loss, but researchers at the Mayo Clinic have found them. Most doctors never tell their elderly patients about the most important habit that can help them regain lost muscle mass well into their 70s and 80s, according to researchers at Harvard Medical School. What science has proven to be crucial for preserving strength as we age is actually contradicted by many doctors' recommendations. Keep reading, because the first habit is likely something you do incorrectly on a daily basis. This typical blunder is speeding up the process of muscle atrophy by activating genes that normally would not do so. Fixing this one behavior could mean the difference between enjoying your golden years on your own or needing help from others. Get this video liked and subscribed to our channel for more content like this before we start. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. All right then, let's go right in. The seventh habit is hormetic stress. One of the most paradoxical things that strong 80-year-olds do is subject themselves to hormetic stressors, which are specific types of stress. Hormesis is the phenomenon wherein chemicals that would be toxic at higher dosages have positive effects when exposed to them at lower ones. What doesn't kill you literally makes you stronger, particularly in terms of muscle. According to studies conducted by the Buck Institute for Research in Aging, brief exposures to certain stresses trigger cellular defense mechanisms that allow for the preservation and even enhancement of muscle function and growth in individuals far into their 80s. Variation in temperature is the primary hormetic stressor utilized by super-agers. Activating brown fat, increasing mitochondrial biogenesis, and triggering adiponectin, a hormone that protects muscle tissue from breakdown, short exposure to cold, such as ending showers with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water or brief cold plunges, is beneficial. Saunas and hot tubs work in a similar way, activating heat shock proteins that protect muscle cells from harm and repair them. 10 years of sauna use was related with 40% less muscle loss than non-sauna users, according to a Finnish study. Regular sauna use was defined as 4 to 7 times weekly. Intermittent fasting or eating within stringent time constraints is the second hormetic stressor. In order to increase muscle quality and stimulate autophagy, the cellular cleansing process, super-agers restrict their food consumption to a narrow window of 8 to 10 hours each day. Without causing weight loss, this technique improves mitochondrial activity in muscles by as much as 10% in as little as 12 weeks, according to research from the Salk Institute. Muscle contractions, although transient and powerful, constitute the third hormetic stressor. Overcoming isometrics, in which super-agers repeatedly push or pull stationary objects to their limits for 5 to 10 seconds at full speed, is a common kind of exercise. These short yet forceful contractions communicate with muscle cells to keep them large and active without putting too much strain on the joints. The sporadic character of these stresses is what gives them their potency. They need to be short and followed by plenty of time to recover. Properly administered, these controlled stresses activate longevity genes, including as FOXes and sirtuins, which primarily aim to maintain muscle mass as we age. Try to ease into these habits little by little until you develop a tolerance. You don't want to overwhelm your system. Gentle, helpful stress is what you're aiming for. Strategy for protein timing is the sixth habit. Although the amount of protein consumed is a major concern for seniors, studies suggest that the timing of protein consumption may be even more critical. Scientists refer to the gradual decline in protein utilization that occurs with age as anabolic resistance. Research in the Journal of Nutrition indicated that, contrary to popular belief, seniors should not consume all of their protein at once, but rather spread it out throughout the day. Now we get to the important portion. A window of opportunity for protein synthesis occurs in your muscles approximately 3 to 4 hours following each meal. The majority of seniors make the mistake of getting all their protein at supper, which means they aren't getting enough protein throughout the day to develop muscle. The best method to use? Spread out your meals throughout the day and try to get 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at each one. So instead of having cereal or toast for morning, try eating eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie. Lean meats, fish, dairy, or vegetarian protein sources like lentils and beans should maintain this trend during lunch and dinner. When compared to consuming the same quantity of protein concentrated in fewer meals, this scheduling technique alone can enhance muscle protein synthesis by as much as 25%. In a 12-week study conducted by the University of Texas, participants who adhered to this method managed to grow an average of 1.2 pounds of muscle without altering any other aspect of their lifestyle. If you want your muscles to develop stronger or keep wasting away, it's not enough to simply eat protein. When you eat it also makes a difference. Number 5. Habit. Optimization of vitamin D levels. Did you know that the so-called muscle vitamin is lacking in more than 80% of the elderly population? The quiet killer of strength, vitamin D insufficiency, is rampant among the elderly. Allow me to explain. Nourishing your bones isn't the only need for vitamin D. Scientists at Harvard University found that vitamin D activates the genes that are involved in building and synthesizing muscle. In order to develop and maintain muscle mass, your cells contain vitamin D receptors that, when triggered, set in motion processes. Surprisingly, a pioneering study in JAMA Internal Medicine indicated that elderly people whose vitamin D levels were excellent had 25% greater muscle strength than those whose levels were inadequate. Additionally, they exhibited markedly improved reaction time, coordination, and balance, all of which play an essential role in avoiding falls. Vitamin D deficiency is defined as levels below 20 nanograms per milliliter, while super-agers, who seem to age without aging, nearly always have ideal levels above 40 nanograms per milliliter. Which vitamin D supplementation strategies work best? Although sun exposure is beneficial, it loses some of its efficacy as we get older. This is due to the fact that our skin's vitamin D production decreases by 50% from 20 to 65 years of age when exposed to sunshine. The typical daily requirement of 600 international units is very inadequate, but supplementation is necessary for the majority of seniors. Although this should be customized based on blood testing, research indicates that the majority of seniors require 2,000 to 4,000 international units per day to achieve appropriate levels. Include vitamin D-rich foods such as fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified dairy with this, and try to get 15 to 20 minutes of direct midday sun exposure if you can. A word of caution. Insufficient levels of vitamin K2, which is present in fermented foods and specific animal products, prevent calcium from reaching the arteries and instead promotes its use by the bones, thanks to the synergistic effect of vitamin D. Arteries may become calcified if vitamin D supplementation is done at high doses. This underappreciated yet crucial vitamin-nutrient interaction may be the deciding factor in your success. To find out how much vitamin D your body needs, consult your doctor for a blood test. Then, to keep your muscles from wasting away, try to keep your levels above 40 milligrams per milliliter. Rule number 4. Manage inflammation every day. So, what do really strong, elderly people have in common? Interestingly, the levels of inflammation are quite modest across the board. Researchers have recently come to the conclusion that inflammaging, a term for chronic, low-grade inflammation, is a key factor in the deterioration of muscle mass in the elderly. Muscle protein is broken down at a rate higher than the body's ability to replace it due to this quiet inflammatory process. But that's not all. Inflammation inhibits the anabolic signals that ordinarily promote muscle growth in response to exercise and protein intake. Unrelated to their protein consumption or exercise routines, seniors whose inflammatory indicators were the highest lost muscle mass 3 times more quickly than those whose levels were the lowest, according to a seminal study out of Tufts University. Certain anti-inflammatory tactics are used by super-agers who retain their youthful strength, which the majority of seniors fail to notice. Their first priority is having a good night's sleep, which they achieve by going to bed at the same time every night and sleeping in a totally dark room. Loss of sleep can hasten muscle atrophy by increasing inflammatory cytokines by as much as 40%. And secondly, they pay close attention to the state of their digestive joints. Alterations to gut flora associated with aging are a direct cause of systemic inflammation, according to new studies out of the University of California. The diets of super-agers include a variety of plant foods, 30 plus per week, fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, etc., that include natural probiotics, and a wide variety of fiber sources consumed daily. Thirdly, workout intensity is something they plan ahead for. Regular mobility is essential, but elders should avoid doing intense workouts because it might exacerbate inflammation. The average super-ager works out at a moderate level most days, with brief, intense intervals sprinkled in once or twice a week. Last but not least, they regularly consume certain anti-inflammatory substances, such as omega-3 fatty acids, 2 to 3 grams per day from fatty fish or supplements, curcumin, turmeric, and polyphenol-rich foods, aguas berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil. Researchers at the University of California discovered that inflammatory indicators can increase by as much as 29% in as little as 12 weeks due to age-related shifts in gut bacteria. An easy blood test that measures high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, HSCRP, can help you keep tabs on inflammation. In contrast to the ordinary senior, who has levels 3 to 5 times higher, super-agers usually keep them below 1.0 milligrams per liter. Principle 3. Taking a specific vitamin every day. Although the majority of dietary recommendations center on macronutrients such as protein, carbohydrates, and fats, super-agers who have remarkable muscular strength, Pay close attention to particular micronutrients that aid in protein synthesis and muscle function. In order for your body to make the most of the protein you eat and the advantages of exercise, these essential nutrients serve as facilitators. If you don't have them, no amount of protein or exercise will prevent you from losing muscle mass. University of Vermont researchers have dubbed magnesium the forgotten electrolyte for muscle health. Thus, it naturally takes precedence. This mineral is essential for more than 300 enzymatic reactions that are involved in the functioning of muscles, and more than 70% of the elderly population is lacking in it. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published a study in 2021 that indicated seniors whose magnesium levels were adequate had 30% stronger grips and much higher physical performance than those whose magnesium levels were even slightly low. In addition to supplementing with magnesium in highly bioavailable forms like glycinate or threonate, super-agers usually eat foods that are rich in magnesium on a daily basis, such as dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and dark chocolate. Creatine comes next. It's not reserved for novice bodybuilders. Compared to strength training alone, creatine supplementation considerably improved older adults' muscle mass, strength, and cognitive function. McMaster University, 2015. Muscle energy generation and water content in muscle cells can be enhanced with a daily intake of 3 to 5 grams, resulting in an anabolic environment. Next up is methylated B12, a B vitamin that gets a lot of short shrift. Because stomach acid production declines with age, our body's capacity to absorb B12 also declines. Worse yet, proton pump inhibitors and metformin, two of the most widely used drugs, severely deplete this vital vitamin. Both neuronal function and the generation of energy by muscles are affected by a deficit. The active form of cobalamin, methylcobalamin, is usually supplemented by super-agers instead of the cheaper sign of cobalamin that is present in most multivitamins. Mineral cofactors such as zinc, selenium, and chromium play an equally critical role in facilitating protein synthesis and insulin sensitivity, qualities that are essential for the transport of nutrients to muscle tissue. Optimal levels of these trace minerals were associated with a 22% increase in muscle mass maintenance over a 5-year period, according to a thorough study out of Tufts University. Micronutrient testing can help super-agers find their unique nutritional gaps, so they can supplement appropriately rather than relying on a generic multivitamin. By tailoring their treatment to their specific biochemical requirements, we can save them money by avoiding unnecessary treatments. Preserving your neuromuscular connections is habit number 2. Here's an interesting fact that the majority of seniors are unaware of. When muscles atrophy, it affects more than simply the individual fibers. Typically, the weakest link is the one that connects your muscles to your nervous system. Neuromuscular junctions are similar to the outlets that supply electricity to your muscles. When they start to degenerate, which happens at a much faster pace beyond 60, no amount of protein in your diet or exercise will help your brain connect with your muscles. Extremely strong super-agers, according to new research out of the University of Michigan, have far better neuromuscular connections than the average senior. Even more thrilling, researchers have identified several behaviors that can preserve or even repair these vital links. In the first session, you'll work on coordinating and precisely executing a series of predetermined motions. Research has demonstrated that compared to regular strength training, or even just walking, activities such as Tai Chi, dancing, tennis, or even ping pong might enhance brain pathways to muscles. In order to strengthen the neuromuscular connections, these exercises need your neurological system to recruit muscle fibers in certain patterns. Researchers in 2020 showed that compared to older adults who merely exercised conventionally, those who participated in coordination-demanding activities twice weekly preserved neuromuscular connections 31% better. Chemicals that promote neuromuscular health are the focus of the second method. Evidence suggests that alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine can prevent oxidative damage to the nerve-muscle link. The fact that some B1 forms, like benphetamine and huperzine found in Chinese club moss, can boost the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, the principal one responsible for muscular activation, is even more encouraging. Some of the breathing techniques used by super-agers stimulate the vagus nerve, which aids in the regulation of neuromuscular transmission. In as little as 5 minutes a day, you can increase neural activation of muscles by as much as 15% by practicing simple breathing techniques like box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Possibly the most intriguing is the link between mental activity and the maintenance of neuromuscular connections. Columbia University conducted a seminal study that indicated older adults' muscular function was far better preserved when they routinely participated in challenging cognitive pursuits. Since the neuromuscular system and the brain share many neural pathways, the researchers found that brain training had a direct positive effect on the neuromuscular system. Using these neuromuscular preservation techniques, super-agers can keep their brain connections strong far into their 80s and beyond, allowing them to recruit muscle fibers efficiently. First habit: resistance exercise that builds over time. The most crucial habit that distinguishes exceptionally strong 80-year-olds from their counterparts is the one that experts at Tufts University deemed the most powerful anti-aging drug ever found. We have arrived at this habit: resistance training that builds upon itself, but not in the manner that the majority of seniors do it. By using targeted resistance training programs, the super-agers whose strength levels defy their real age fight the biological processes of muscle atrophy. Most elders never learn this fundamental truth. Your muscles function according to the use it or lose it principle, with a crucial exception. In order to maintain them, you must gradually challenge them. Keeping up with the same modest weights week after week, going for a walk, or doing water aerobics won't be adequate to keep muscle mass over the age of 60. How is the method used by super-agers unique? To begin, the emphasis is on intensity, not duration. 2 weeks of high-intensity resistance training to the point of failure resulted in greater muscle gain for seniors compared to 5 weeks of moderate-intensity exercise, according to research out of McMaster University. The most important thing is to get to the point where you can't do another repeat with proper form, what exercise physiologists term transient muscle failure. This triggers protein synthesis in the muscles for as long as 72 hours after exercise by sending strong anabolic signals. Secondly, super-agers put an emphasis on compound motions, which use numerous muscular groups all at once. Their mobility and joint health should be taken into consideration while designing reduced versions of squats, deadlifts, rows, pushes, and pulls. Compared to isolated actions like bicep curls or leg extensions, these motions produce a stronger hormonal reaction. Third, they use progressive overload, which entails progressively raising the level of difficulty as time goes on. Using the same weights month after month causes stagnation because your muscles adapt to whatever stress you put them under. People who are super-agers keep track of their workouts and push themselves to do a little bit more each time. As a fourth point, they put an emphasis on the eccentric, or lowering, parts of workouts, which are known to be helpful for strengthening the muscles of the elderly. Lowering the weights slowly puts more strain on the muscles without putting as much strain on the joints. Amazingly, this method works even for people who are running behind schedule. Older adults who started a 12-week program of progressive resistance training enhanced their strength by 35% and added an average of 3.3 pounds of muscle, according to a revolutionary study out of the University of Alabama. Along with these remarkable changes, there were also increases in cognitive function, bone density, and blood glucose control. What, therefore, is the most typical blunder that retirees make? The problem is that many think resistance exercise is too risky or old-fashioned for them. The true hazard lies in the fact that resistance training is essential to prevent further muscle loss, which in turn increases the risk of fragility, falls, and independent issues. Get into the habit of progressive resistance training if you only do one thing from this video. If you want to make sure you're doing everything correctly, see a trainer first. Then, work up to the intensity that's right for your fitness level. Achieving just 2 30-minute sessions per week can have a profound impact on how quickly you age. Here they are, the 7 practices supported by research that account for the remarkable muscular strength that some 80-year-olds keep going strong. Pick a habit that you can easily implement today and work your way up to the others. Putting effort today into building your strength and independence will pay dividends in the long run. It is time for you to speak up. Are you currently engaging in any of these 7 habits? If so, which one caught you by surprise? Is there an elderly person in your life that possesses remarkable strength considering their age? Leave a comment below and tell us about yourself and your thoughts. Please share them with us.